Hello, everyone. David Atkins, Target Individual. I'm back with Joel. He's got updates for us. Um, and I'm fixing to turn it over to him. First, I'm going to read a devotion like I've been doing, and another announcement. Like if I appreciate Truman 3.0 for the donation, the super chat, the super donation. And then one other person sent like a $2 super chat. Well, if anybody, I really don't ask for money. But I always could use support if anybody's able to, but I know most people are not able to, so I don't ask. But if anybody is wanting to do that, please ask me in the comments my PayPal and Cash Out because if say dude sent me a $70 super thing, I only get like $28 of that. YouTube takes it. So if you want to donate or something, just ask me my PayPal or Cash App, and then I'll just give it to you, and you can donate it there rather than 40 or 50% getting taken by YouTube. Um, there's an oh yeah, and if you're messaging me about interviews, I always get back to you. Like I said, sometimes I'm in that. Sometimes I get in moods. Period. I won't message nobody for days, but I will always message you back. Uh, sometime. Sometimes I go through my mind and I don't feel like talking to nobody. For real, I'm shut off.
Yeah.
And all right, I'm gonna read this and I'm gonna turn it over to Joe. Although we make a conscious effort to live undisturbed, our life seems anything but. To completely lose grip and a temper tantrums to be expected. Gangstalkers are thrilled when they cause us to lose it. We shouldn't beat ourselves up when our composure eludes us. Years of harassment can include being brainwashed, where we begin to treat ourselves the same way our enemies treat us. We must be wary not to allow their attitudes to transfer onto us. Considering what we deal with us, most of us do well with controlling our outrages, especially in public. We're up against a ring of people who work collectively to throw curveballs and bait us for one thing or another. The anger inside us is like Mount St. Helens ready to erupt. Something small ignites us and we flip into a rage, completely bypassing anger. We must forgive ourselves and put it behind us. It really is possible for a TI to experience of having intervals of peace. We take our defeats in stride and treat ourselves gently. We continue taking care of ourselves while trusting God to tie up any loose ends. I'm not alone in my feelings, actions, or reactions. Today I do the best I can, accepting myself exactly how I am. I like myself. I'm okay. And Joe, Joe came on. If this is your first time watching, you might want to go back and read or look at Joe S. interview. This is like a continuing. He's coming on and he's got some good subjects to talk about. He's very prepared from what he showed me. So, Joe, I'm just going to turn it over to you.
All right,
And
cool.
then I'll ask you
All
any
right.
questions in between.
Okay. Yeah, just to give a backstory because with the new information that I have now, the backstory makes a lot more sense real quick. So, just to let everyone know, I have four mental health pickup orders on my record right now. Two of them resemble the same story as I forget the guy's name, but Robert Duncan did a podcast interview with Concrete. Have you seen that? He was with a Harvard scientist that's going through the same torture, this and that. You should look at that up. That's actually a really interesting interview.
I might have
I for,
seen that one. Uh,
yeah, but the scientist is literally describing how he like it all kicked in for him, and he was saying that he was hearing loud vibrating noises in the house and voices of family members that weren't there. And what's weird is my petitions were on record 3 months before this interview even came out. So I had no idea, like about this interview
you
or
send that to
technology.
me later on?
Yeah, I will. Yep.
Okay.
So the two first petitions on my record state that I was hearing loud vibrating noises with my ex who was moaning the name Brandon. Okay. But the police couldn't hear the loud vibrating noises, even though the judge heard it. So that's kind of weird. But the third petition, I got sent to the ER because when all this started,
You're cutting out.
um,
Okay, there you
which
go.
was July 10th. Okay, all this started July 10th while I was working at my family business, and my head was ringing so bad and my ears were burning. And all of a sudden, I could hear four different AIs of familiar voices that I knew. And 2 days later, that's when I saw the military guy in the street telling me to turn left at the Butterworth Hospital, but I kept driving. And then I drove to my friend's house. And while I parked on the side of the road, she lives in an apartment complex. My thoughts were being read out as the devil, and a kid started screaming because my thoughts were being projected out of his electronics, but it was too loud. But I sounded like the devil, so he started screaming, and then his mother came upstairs and heard it and started screaming. And when this happened, the military guy walked around the apartment complex and pointed to my friend's door that I was going to sleep at, and kept walking. He was playing loud dubstep music, and then they told me they were going to blackmail me, and that's when I drove to Ann Arbor and I started learning how to use their technology because I could hear them communicating with me through the speakers of my car at a very low frequency and a low frequency. And it got to the point where I almost ran out of gas and I had my phone off and I was like, direct me to a gas station. I actually followed the commands of these AIs, turn left here, turn right here. And I found a gas station without me even knowing where I was going. So like that happened. And then when I came back to Grand Rapids, I ended up having a situation where I was being followed by a Fed truck. It looked like a silver Ford Fed truck. And I end up going to an old neighbor's restaurant that he owns over in Grand Rapids. And he even said that, yeah, that looks like a Fed truck. Well, while I was in there, 4 people came in, and the first person that walked in looked exactly like my ex-girlfriend Courtney, but they announced her name wrong. That's how I knew I wasn't schizophrenic, because she has a half brother named Corey who has a different last name, who's also being targeted, apparently because they had his voice. So like when they're trying to convince me to go talk to this girl that looked like my ex, another girl came in that was a redhead, and I was like, "Oh, you're talking about the redhead." And they're like, "No, your ex-girlfriend Courtney," and then they said the last name wrong again. So then I was like, "Oh yeah, the redhead." They're like, "Fine, go talk to the redhead." And I was like, "Tell the redhead to put her right hand on the counter." And at this time, my neighbor and restaurant owner was waiting on this girl, and she puts her right hand underneath the counter and then puts her right hand on top of the counter after I asked for a second time. But she did it in a way like this. I don't, can you see my hand?
Yeah.
All right. So she went underneath
Oh, you're cutting out.
the counter. And I was like, no, tell her to. Damn. Okay. I'm sorry. Anyway, she ends up putting her right hand on the counter. And that's when I knew I was being stalked, because even my the restaurant owner was saying that that was a Fed truck. So later that same night, I got sent to the ER because I was having really severe head pains. And when I got right before I got transported from the ER, my dog was taken away from me. His name was Gambit, and because I was isolated for so long, um, I didn't have anyone to watch him. So like I had to give him to my ex-girlfriend, since she was used to be the dog owner as well. And what's special about this dog is because when all of this started, he and I could actually hear the frequencies of my ex being used. He would go crazy sniffing power boxes, um, even my car tires by the radio transmitter. And every time I was hearing AI generated voices, he would start sniffing. So they told me back in 2022 that you're going to lose your dog. Well, I eventually did when I didn't have anyone to watch him. And my ex refused to give him back to me. But while I was in the ambulance, the guy sitting in back of the ambulance was looking at the radio that was making weird sound because the AI voices were saying, "Look, Joel's about to go in cardiac arrest." And when that was said, the guy is looking at the radio strangely, undid my pulse reader and blood pressure reader. So then I get to the ER, which is Butterworth Hospital, and they roll me in, and I'm just sitting there for a few minutes, no nurses, and all of a sudden I could hear a crystal clear recording of what sounded like a sex tape being played. And it was of my ex and a guy named Brandon. And then they start using a voice. It was my son's voice who was in pain, like screaming in pain. They're saying that if you don't do inappropriate things with these nurses, we're going to kill your kid. And I had to touch the nurses inappropriately. And I did it all with the back of my hand. I didn't grab. That's when I got sent to Pine Rest for the third time on an involuntary mental health pickup order, but it makes sense of why I would get sent to Pine Rest. The fourth time I got sent to the involuntary institution was after the fact. I hired a PI who did a database research on my son and I and found that my info's on the dark web and it's being tracked by a military satellite. And also that I have 6 stalkers. And this was December 16th of 2023. And I have the conversations of this that I was willing to show the doctor. And they said, nope, you're going to get sent to the institution. So I had to stay there for 11 days. And the judge let me out because I did not say these things of what the PI said. I was just relaying, like, I was currently found on a military satellite. My son and I feel, are being stalked, but they didn't believe me. So just to get the petitions out of the way, I want to talk about my past career. It was all about customer service for 17 years.
Right.
So I'm really good at reading people's body language. And I'm really good at picking up on theft. And I'm really good at working while being sleep deprived because my schedule was so hectic, working nights and then opening the next day. So I have a very good sense of judgment on people. And also, before that career, I wanted to go into law enforcement. I was actually really excited to do that, but that's not going to happen. But while I was working at my previous job, there was a friend who was a customer and a construction worker and an electrician that came in and was facing the same type of harassment that I'm going to tell you in just a second. This guy was hearing voices out of his electrical box. And he was saying that he was feeling stalked and followed. And this is a year before I started having my symptoms of the same thing. So I go to his house after work and he has his whole electrical box ripped apart and rewired. And he's like, dude, you don't hear how these people are talking out of this furnace? And I was like, no, dude, I don't. But he was a big drinker. So I was thinking maybe he's drunk, but no. A year later, the same thing happened to me. I started hearing voices out of electrical outlets, um, anything running with a motor, especially.
You know how they do
But
that, don't you? Where
uh,
nobody else in the room hears it. So look, if I got 2 cell phones, if I got a pile of 1,000 cell phones, right? And I call one cell phone up,
yeah,
only that cell phone's going to ring. So if I call your DNA or whatever I'm targeting, your brain signature or your chip, whatever you may have in you up, uh, your brain is the receiver, So only your
yeah,
brain gets attacked. So that's why you can be in a room with somebody and they could be hearing V2K. Sometimes you might not hear it, but that don't mean they're not really hearing it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yep. And that's funny because that interview you have to check out. Robert Duncan said the same thing. He used the same example. It's like
Yeah.
calling a cell
Okay.
phone in a
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah. I got it
So
from Brian too.
right, right.
Yeah.
So after all this started, my credit card fraud went through the roof, along with social security numbers being stolen left and right. And so that's really concerning right now because I sold my property, but I have not yet moved into an apartment. And I'm choosing to be homeless right now because what I'm doing is I'm using my paychecks now to do license plate lookups on suspicious people. And I ended up finding a very suspicious guy on my first time looking up a license plate,
Can you get
which I'll
names?
yes, I have the names.
Wow. What's the name of the website you use for this?
Well, I hired a new private investigator and I sent him or I sent her his license plate. And come to find out, I'm being stalked by at first I was being followed by a Ford Police Interceptor multiple times. And I got every time I was being followed, I felt like I was being attacked. So
Right.
what I did was I slowed down, I let the guy pass me, and I'm following him. And this would be I have 2 videos of this, of me mentioning this guy's been following me all day. So after I did a background check, it was the father I caught. This guy is not even authorities. So he's driving a Ford Interceptor, and his background is an independent Uber contractor and a high tech enthusiast. and that he works for himself is basically his past history of work.
Ain't that the
This
one you
guy,
sent me where there's 10 more vehicles?
that's his son. This right now, the dad is
Okay.
who I'm talking about. Um, his dad's Facebook as well. You would think if he's a high tech enthusiast, he would have something about high tech on his Facebook, but it's all about God. Just the same picture, dude, of God being posted. So like, I don't know if it's kind of like a symbolic thing of God's voice or something like that. But so this guy has been following me. I've been hurting a lot every time I see this car. He's not authorities, and his son and him have a long history of vehicle transactions, which is over 30 throughout their lifetime. His son owns 10 vehicles as well, who's also an independent Uber contractor who works at a high tech company as well. They have their own internet service along with phone service. And they also have two locations in Grand Rapids. And he also drives a Ford Interceptor with spotlights, this and that. And that's not the only undercover cop car that I've seen following me. I got
So what
another
is
one.
this? Is this a private contractor?
I don't know. I have to wait until I get my MRI for the investigation to start because we want to make sure that we know exactly what we're dealing with.
Right.
But so I have 3 or 4 other pictures of undercover cop cars following me, and one of the recent ones was a black like SUV type, and I let him pass me, and I have video of this. No license plate on the back, but his license plate is literally put on the driver's window. Like, why? I wonder if it's because I caught the face of the guy driving the Ford Interceptor last time when I was recording. Did he
Yeah.
put the light? And it was a dealership license plate, but it had spotlights on the car. So that I don't know. That's really weird. But real quick, going back to the ER, when I got sent to the ER for heart attack symptoms, this is when I found out I was on a military satellite. It was the day after. I drove by a vehicle uh who had a guy on a walkie-talkie. As soon as I drove by, he had tinted windows, but I could see an army patch on his shirt. And when I drove past him, he got on the walkie-talkie, and then all of a sudden I could hear low frequency, of course. We're gonna go kidnap your kid. So like, and then all of a sudden this car starts swerving in the road. So like it's like street theater that they were doing that kicked off my heart attack. And unfortunately, I don't get to have fun much. So I did have um Molly in my system from 2 days before. So that's in the doctor notes. But yeah, I'm definitely sure that it was this street theater that kicked off my heart attacks. So when I'm at the ER, I'm telling them I was recently found on a satellite, this and that. They keep me overnight. Overnight, there was a guy I could hear staying in the room next to me, not a patient, clicking on a laptop. And I could hear clear as day audio being played of I'm not gonna say who, a familiar voice where it was a girl saying Animal Planet, and then all of a sudden it said animal porn. And this dude's like clicking on these different like sentences of audio where it sounds like it's supposed to be the same like planet and porn. You can easily manipulate someone's thoughts into thinking each one, you know, with this kind of technology. Like I don't know how to I'm going to send you my the rest of my theory, but like basically it's all about manipulating your brain of what different frequencies you're hearing, and then those AIs are like gaining info off of this stuff, and they're learning
Yes,
about
it's
you.
it's part of neurolinguistic programming.
Yes.
And listen what
Okay.
I'm about to read real quick. Neurolinguistic
Okay.
programming has many uses, some as benign advertising mantras, jingles, or pledges. Neurolinguistic programming is called psychic driving and brainwashing. Advertising wouldn't work without the principles of imprinting and branding. The programming works through messaging and conditioning the brain with verbal and subliminal responses. So there was something they wanted to condition your brain to when they were doing that.
Yeah. So while this was happening, I felt so weird. My heart rate started dropping down to 35. And it got to a
Wow.
point where it got to a point where I passed out. And I shit you not. I'm sorry. I kid you not. The alarm started going off with how low my heart rate went, and I woke up out of a dead sleep. And what do I look up to? The doctor's closing the curtains. Like seriously. And I got up out of bed and I yelled down the hallway, like, I just seen you guys do that. The lady didn't even turn around and I yelled it.
There's
So what I
somebody
had
on
to
the other side of the curtain.
dude, I guarantee it. The guy that was on the laptop, because I would say inappropriate things with my thoughts, I could hear him close the laptop quickly. Like he had a sense of what I was saying with my thoughts that was going to possibly be heard because these recordings all came out crystal clear. And this is in the ER where people are like basically fighting for their life right now.
Right.
So like this would be the perfect environment to just like do all this stuff. But I had to start doing push-ups in my little ER room to keep my heart rate up. And I had to stay up for the rest of the night. And then I got sent to Hackley behavior the next day. Um, so I've been complaining to the sheriff department lately about what I feel it's Havana syndrome being influenced by AIs. That's what I feel like is happening. So it's Havana symptoms, chest pains, dizziness, rainbow vision, but it's being influenced by AIs by making your mood bad. Like what's happening to me if they think I'm not in a good mood,
But
that's when they start attacking me.
I think it's more than Havana. I don't like the term Havana syndrome. It's really
Yeah, I'm
overplayed. Uh,
yeah, I'm
it's
go
really
ahead.
worse than Havana syndrome. What we're dealing with, Havana syndrome was like one attack of some diplomats. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
now they're using that as the medical term. You know what I'm saying? I just don't agree with it because it's been happening long before Havana. Um, but
yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Right, because I was trying to describe it to the sheriff department of what it is, but now I'm switching it to I'm being attacked by radio frequencies that are biologic that are destroying my biological tissue. That's what's happening. They're
Right.
using radio frequencies to destroy my biological tissue. But I have multiple sheriff reports of me complaining about this harassment, and I'm even giving them like people of who I think know would be behind this, and they're not even asking any questions. And then it got to a point where I was working, and I got attacked at work. I was hearing cricket noises in my ear and heavy chest pain. This was May 18th of 2024. And so after work, I make another report of this harassment and I'm saying, dude, and I have this on camera, you're going to be responsible if someone passes away. Well, eventually, a coworker a couple weeks ago dies of a heart attack, and his uh, workstation was right next to mine. And then this was when my son Dominic started feeling chest pains now, like often, and especially at his baseball games. And I even have sheriff reports on that. Like I feel like someone's using an electromagnetic weapon at my son's baseball games and I
Right.
have footage of it happening. Like I do not tell my kid about this type of stuff that's happening to me. And he's probably wondering why I'm going homeless right now, which is all by choice, but like until I feel safe and moving into a new place, this is what I have to do. But I have 5 or 6 different videos of different times of my son complaining about chest pain. He's an all-star athlete, honor roll student, all A's last year, even the year before. And now all of a sudden, after I'm complaining about chest pains, also a guy dies from a heart attack at work. My son's feeling chest pains too. This doesn't add up. Um, so that's what made me hire the new investigator that I sent the license plate to because no one's helping me. So I have to use my paychecks to pay people to do the authorities' work. So I don't think I should say the investigators agency, but I'll share it with you after. But so they're excited on this because of how much evidence I have and also the license plate background that we got that actually would fit suspicious activity. Like a
Right.
guy driving an undercover car, I'm complaining about being stalked. Turns out he's an independent Uber contractor, high tech enthusiast, and I'm feeling electronically harassed. Like,
Right.
so like that was good. Unfortunately, I have to wait for my MRI on September 19th. They can't get me in sooner. So it's going to be a while. That
Right.
sucks for the investigation to start. But another thing about these two background checks is um they're both a part of the Federal Communication Commission, and you should look that up because their his son has comments from the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is included in this Federal Communication Commission. It's basically in 2012 there was a law that passed about tethering for technology.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read too much into it, but that's what they're a part of. Like the two people that I got the background checks done, and they both one of them works at an internet server place.
And
So I found that,
you're basically being bombarded with chatterbots, right? Different people's voices, stuff
yeah,
like that. I want to read
yeah,
something out of Robert Duncan's book real quick. It says
okay,
the agencies have stored the voices of tens and millions of Americans through and all over the country through phone tapping. These voice samples are used to identify voice prints and spoof people using all forms of communication. Voice transformation trickery was used in Desert Storm in World War II. In Desert Storm for the U.S. had all the phone numbers of the Iraqi commanders and voice samples. They spoofed orders to subordinates to make their troops go in the wrong directions and hopefully fire on each other.
yeah, dude. That's man. I'm glad you're actually saying all this because you know your stuff, dude.
Yeah,
Um,
because I was wondering they use my wife's voice in my V2K and my sister, so I know how they do it now. It used to
yeah,
confuse me and scare the hell out of me.
right. So I sent you the two pictures of the addresses of the father and son, didn't I?
Yeah,
First off, sketchy. I'm gonna talk about the son's yard. This is the guy with the 10 vehicles, right? In his yard, it looks like a junkyard, and there's a military truck in the front of his yard, and then a school bus in the back of his yard, along with like 10 beat up cars that are parked. So like I don't know, I would have to do like another check, but like if these license plates are the cars that he's driving that are registered right now, I don't know that, but like when you think about me being put on a military satellite and me seeing a military guy in the street, and this dude has a military vehicle in the front, but his background's an Uber driver and a high tech enthusiast. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And
are you
also
still
the
being
car.
stalked and stuff too?
Oh, dude, yeah, hardcore right now because I'm sleeping outside in my hammock where I'm not hearing the radio chatter of the AIs. So
Right.
like instead, they're freaking hitting me with weapons right now, or radio frequency, like damaging my tissue. That's like the big thing that's happening right now. Um, so I want to talk about a couple of the stalking examples that I have that I can show you. And then maybe if you want to post them, maybe I'll let you because it's pretty cool. There was an incident that happened when I took my son and I to the park and we're walking our dog Megalodon. And this little kid runs up and he's like, "Hey, can I pet your dog?" And yes, of course. Yeah, I have a German Shepherd named Bear. And my son and I used to have a German Shepherd named Bear that we used to take at the park all the time, right? And then the kid runs away. And
They
when
do
this
that
happened, there
stuff
was
to,
a
hey, you know
guy,
why they do that stuff? They do that stuff to let you know, hey, we profile you, we know everything about you.
dude, right? Because my Facebook memory was 9 years ago. On that same day, was a picture of my son Bear and Bear and him. So
Now,
that that I have on recording. It was my son's expression right after. I didn't get it on recording, but yeah. And then there was a UK vehicle instance that happened that I think I talked about before, where
yeah,
my son and I were talking in the car, and I was like, "Where do you want to go for vacation?" He said the UK. We go to his soccer game. He ends up winning the gold medal, MVP. And then while we're driving back, we see a white beetle with a UK striped flag following us. And what's weird is the fact that my son plays Rocket League and he's a part of a clan called UK Boys. And he's been a part of that clan for a long time. So it's kind of like these stalkers could have had that vehicle set and ready to go, just not knowing when to use it
yeah.
until, the
See,
UK vacation.
when you find out that you're targeted, most of the time, like when I found out I was, they target you, they profile you years in advance. and they know everything about you, what makes you tick, what you don't like, and they know every little detail of your life because they've had somebody watching you for years before they even actually start targeting you.
Right. And that's why I was telling my family my targeting, I believe, was in 2021 during the stock market run.
Yeah,
That's when I think it started. That, and I used to try to break the lottery, the 3-digit lottery all the time, and also the crazy luck that I have. That's what the AIs were telling me is like, dude, you have the most insane luck, good or bad. Like, but going back to the stalking thing, I got also that UK vehicle. I have footage of that. There was an incident where I was having a fire at my dragon pit fire pit that I took a picture of. The next day, when I go to a gas station in Caledonia, I'm having vibrating sensations in my chest until I noticed a guy with a faded dragon, like a Mortal Kombat emblem on his hand that's facing me that looks like it's wore off. So like it doesn't look like a tattoo, but what are the odds of me taking a picture of my dragon pit fire pit that looks exactly like the faded painting the next morning on a guy's hand?
that
So
dude
I
you
got,
sent me in the gas station, that picture.
yeah. So I
Yeah,
got video footage of that. Like weird things like this happen daily, apparently. So um this one just happened. And this one I think was synchronicity, but they used it uh um as a stalking technique. I went into a gas station and this guy who had autism, and I have video recording of this. His name was Joel. My name's Joel. And he's like, "Hey, what's your name?" I was like, "Joel." He's like, "Well, my name's Joel." He's telling me his life of collecting pop cans. And when I left and drove down the street, a couple minutes went by, a license plate went in front of me and it said for autism. So like I don't think Joel was in on what they were doing, but they had that license plate ready to use
yep.
when they're like, okay, we can use this one, you know. So that was pretty cool. I got that actually on camera too. Here's another one. Because the police aren't doing anything, I have to literally do my own investigation. I've been seeing a lot of motorcycle patches cut me off lately, and it's the same patch that I saw for the second time in a row. And I have this on camera. I'm following the guy, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get his patch now. And when I'm trying to catch up to him in a 35 residential area, he starts speeding. He's starting to go like 75 to 80. So I have to follow him. So I'm going 75 to 80, like trying to catch this guy's license plate or jacket. And there's a red light up ahead. And I have this on camera, like, okay, if this guy doesn't stop at this red light, this is suspicious. Nope. Instead, right before the red light, he cuts through a gas station and he parks at the gas station. I drive in the gas station. I get out because I'm trying to see this guy, but I'm not trying to confront him because this is what they want. They want you to confront them so you look crazy. Something happens. The police get called with the petitions on my record and all my claims of feeling stalked. This would be a bad look for me, you know? So, like, the guy's sitting at the gas pump. I'm inside recording and I have my phone pointed towards him. He's not even getting gas. He's just like texting real quick. Oh man, this is weird. Yeah, so he was texting real quick and then took off. Like didn't even get gas. But with the texting thing, um, that's how supposedly these voices are being thrown at me is through text on phone. Like
Right.
they'll communicate by texting something, and then like that's what the AI's like basically AI speech is saying. So they're talking to you by text, but AI voice is telling you. Yeah, that's what they claim that is happening. I don't know. Um, the day after though, that's when I found that undercover Ford Interceptor, and I started following him, and I noticed a green race car that passed by that I kept seeing as well. And so I got a video of that, like, oh, I've seen that car before. Later that day, there was 3 sports cars that literally pulled up in front of me in 3 different lanes and started racing. And so I got that on camera, but I'm not chasing them this time, right? But then later that night, I'm on the highway and these 2 freaking cars drove past me like going 120. So this time I'm trying to get their license plate because this is really suspicious. So I didn't know how fast I was going until I looked down, but I hit 100. I couldn't catch up to them. So, but you can see their lights off in the distance. Just like it's crazy. And then also there's a weird guy riding a bike that had a Bigfoot tattoo on him, and the color was blue, orange, and then black. So blue on the bottom, orange in the middle, black on top. How it was colored. Uh, I don't know if this was a synchronicity moment or what, but later that the next day, a license plate had the same Bigfoot symbol and the same color coordinates. So like,
On a different vehicle?
yeah, but it was on a vehicle. But when I saw it was on a guy's leg,
Yeah.
and he was riding a bike and he was pedaling, but then he stopped pedaling when I had my phone out to take a picture. So like, I don't know, it was like a perfect opportunity to take a picture. But
See, these people they love sitting back creating synchronicity events and creating stuff just to freak people out.
yeah, yep. Okay. And whenever you want to jump in and say something, because now I'm going to go to something that was kind of creepy that recently happened. Is there anything you wanted to talk about real quick?
Oh no, I'm gonna show that light bulb thing later on, but not at the moment. Just um uh I'm just trying to think of a question I could ask you. You pretty much summing up all my questions. So has your targeting got worse since your last interview? Would you say?
Yeah. Yes, because I don't have a home to stay in.
Right.
So
And
I'm
you said you got
outside.
these
And plus
mental
now it's
health.
to the point where like,
You said you got these mental health orders. Why haven't they acted on them? You said there's 4
um,
orders on file to take you to a hospital.
no, that's when I was taken to the hospital. So three of them happened in 2022 that I was
Oh,
put
okay.
in the institution. And then the fourth one happened in December of 2023.
Yeah, and
After I,
they're doing that to
yeah,
try to discredit you. Yeah.
yeah, right. So as of recently, I got some nice camping gear and I'm sleeping good outside. I don't hear radio chatter as much. Um, and I'm getting good sleep, but something weird happened where when I was packing up and leaving at a carpool parking lot, some guy was mentioning like, yeah, I was watching you sleep, you know? And then I'm like, okay. And I just have a friendly conversation with him, leave. But then I sleep in the back of my car, and this actually happened last night. I was able to hear so much radio frequencies coming through where it kept me up all night. And then when I got outside of my car, and I was in an empty parking lot parked by the trees, there was a white X with using chalk right where my head was sleeping. So like I don't know if I didn't see it when I was getting set up, but it was there the next morning, which was today. So like that's kind of like a little bit concerning, but you know, I think they're trying to drive me insane to where I do something stupid, commit suicide, or I die of a heart attack.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
chess match. You're trying to prove this stuff's real to the police. The police are sitting back just waiting on you to blow up or do something stupid. That way
yeah.
they can win.
And then especially with the background checks that I got, I have leverage on them now. Like, hey, if anything happens to me, here are two shady background checks that will lead you to possibly what happened. Let me see. Okay, I want to go back to my friend that was telling me about his experiences with the electrical box. I haven't seen this guy. I was supposed to stay in close contact with him, but his phone's off now. This guy mentioned a name, which is the restaurant owner in the story, my neighbor, that he could hear him through radio waves. And this was before I started hearing my AIs. So what's weird is the restaurant owner is also what I call him is my algorithm. He's in my algorithm the same as my friend's algorithm as AI generated voices. Does that make sense? Like, so my
Yeah.
friend can hear his AI and I can hear his AI. So, like, if what we're claiming is real, this would be the first guy that is an AI and two different algorithms of AI identity theft. Wouldn't that be kind of like an alarming thing that the sheriff department would want to look into if what we're claiming is real? If they're stealing people's identities to use against their target,
What, you talking about spoofing their voices?
yeah, spoofing their
Yeah.
voices, but they're also asking me questions about the guy all the time, which I never answer their questions. That's why I'm such a tough target for them. But like they're trying to get info on other people that they could possibly be targeting. That's what I was told. But
See, it
like,
says
so
the
like,
main purpose of chatterboxes, or bots, as they are often called, is to keep the minds entrained and hypnotized with automata, brainwash them through repetition, aid in personality alterations, and distract the mind to dysfunction it.
yeah, yeah, they said that I'm a very good like a counter puncher in a way. Like whatever they throw at me, that like I'm able to counteract it very quickly. Like even though I'm sleep deprived, my mental state is actually more clear than I think it's ever been, even though I sound crazy. But I'm
Yeah,
only
see, that's
sounding
what
crazy.
any real target, they're going to put you in situations where if you talk about an incident that happened, people will think you're nuts if they're not TIs and hadn't went through it.
Yeah, and I have a medical record um that can back up what I'm saying. Like I sound crazy, but I swear I'm in the most clear state of mind I've ever been. And this happened probably a couple months ago. I was almost sent back into the institution when I was actually able to use forced speech as speaking as my AI to an officer because I've been having so many chest pains, and my son was also having chest pains that like I feel like I just have to tell him every symptom that I'm having, like, dude, this is not normal. So like I was able to speak as Gambit the Prodigy, which is my AI, and then myself as Joel Smitter, like perfectly, to where the cop did a mental evaluation on me, sent me to the hospital, and I did the same thing to them. I'm like, this is Gambit the Prodigy, and I'm telling you now, if you guys don't do something, you're gonna end up having this kid killed, this and that, because we can't like keep using radio frequencies on them, this and that, because my body's like literally deteriorating. So I'm speaking as Gambit the Prodigy and myself to the doctor. They let me out in the morning. I didn't get sent to the institution, and
Right.
I was able to answer every question that they asked me. That's why I know I'm not schizophrenic. I'm seeing these stalkers around me. I'm being electronically harassed, and it has something to do with um, AI tech. That's what I
Right.
keep saying. And even my Pine Rest therapist has came out and told me that we're going to start seeing a lot of stories of AIs influencing people's thoughts. He told me this. So like my own Pine Rest therapist is telling me this. you know?
And I want to read this too. This is out of a book of a dude who worked on this stuff. So any doubters and stuff, listen to this. Other interesting features of Voice to Skull using artificial intelligent chatterbots is that the vocabularies are very basic and language specific to begin with. During the training, the vocabulary is extended with the individualized targets, word choices over time. This allows a chatterbox to mimic speech from the target. This makes a person who is speaking to a personalized chatterbox look like they are talking to themselves. And in fact, in a way, they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing I never do is talk out loud. I'm always speaking with my thoughts to them if I'm trying to communicate with them. But going back real quick, I just want to state something that when I was speaking as AI Gambit the Prodigy, and they're using forced speech, I'm basically speaking for one of my stalkers, is what was happening. Like he was speaking as AI to Gambit the Prodigy for me to tell the doctor something. They did that in attempt to get me into the institution. They just could not believe that I actually pulled it off. Like they're like, dude, you said everything perfectly that I said to tell you the doctor, and I can't believe that you didn't get sent to the institution. It's because of how clear state minded I am. I swear to
Right.
God, dude. And I have doctor notes I'll show you. And even though it makes me sound crazy, they let me out 5 o'clock in the morning.
Can I read
um,
something else? It says
yeah, go
these
ahead.
are some of the applications of chatterboxes for DoD human experimentation and weaponization. Personality induction and simulations, experimentation with different personalities, temperament, and vocabularies, personality overlays, collecting toxic thoughts and vocabulary to neurolinguistically program a target with dial-in lethality, talk the target to their death, used for occupation of a target mind, keeping the target's mind in train, mental disable, menticide, neurolinguistic programming and brainwashing, replacement of two brainwashing techniques, improving the training set and chatterbox probability matrices. So these chatterboxes are used for the menticide, mental disabling, driving the target crazy with voices, brainwashing, hypnosis, but most importantly, in training the target's mind. Entrainment for remote neural renditions is important in terms of aligning the human algorithms. Less sensory stimulus isolation causes the brain to focus on the external entrainment centers in what's termed a runaway process. The brain wants to correlate and make sense of the input. The structure does not know that the external energy is altering its patterns. That's another reason they want to isolate you and keep you isolated, because your brain entrains, and it's easier when you ain't got a big crowd of friends and stuff and you're by yourself. It's easier to entrain your brain and manipulate it.
Yeah, and just to tell you real quick, I have not done any research on this technology, so I'm learning as I'm going. So I'm trying
Yeah,
to explain it the best way I can, but it to me it kind of sounds like I may not say it correctly of all the instances and examples of that I you know said,
you're
but like,
you're basically living what this book's talking about.
dude, isn't that crazy? I'm like
Yeah.
an AI. Like, but okay,
But see,
um,
Most V2K people, like all mine tells me is lies. They haven't really told me, it's all worthless stuff. You're worthless, or you're gonna die, or this is gonna happen, or look what you did now, or this interview sucks right now. Stuff like that. They're always
yeah, yeah,
lying. But
you're
yours
right.
actually tell the truth sometimes, right? There's got to be some game to that.
They're right now. That's what they're doing. They're saying there's we're throwing everything at you right now. That's what they keep freaking saying. And when they say everything, they're throwing every emotion at once at me to try to get me off base. And all it's doing is making me learn which option is best to like communicate with if needed. Like certain AIs are put in my algorithm to mess my life up, even when they act as the good guy.
But you
Like,
don't
man,
think
this
if you don't think you're better off when you ignore them?
well, that's the problem. They know I've been ignoring them, which is why I think recently, last night, they were hitting me hard with radio frequencies because I've been
Yeah.
sleeping
They'll
outside
do
in
that
my hammock.
if one thing ain't working, they're gonna hit you with another, definitely.
Yeah. So they're saying that we're trying to see because they claim that I'm psychic. I don't know if this is true, but with how well I'm able to counteract these guys with my decision making, because I haven't been put in prison or back in the institution, but I'm sounding back crap crazy, but I'm not in the institution yet. They're wondering if I'm like psychic and making the right decisions, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Um, so
And that's
also going
probably why
back,
you're in this program, because you're able to think quick and all that, and they want to really test their technology out. I mean, I'm not
that's
saying
why
that's why. I'm just saying
that's
they,
yeah, I think that's why I'm in it right now. I wasn't supposed to last, they said, but now that I'm actually like learning to utilize the technology against them in a way, uh, they like to have fun with me, but you have me chasing someone at 100 miles an hour. That's only asking me to go to prison. So I can't be doing that anymore. Also, real quick, going back to the guy that told me about this, where he said that he could hear the restaurant owner AI voice in his algorithm. His stalkers are wanting my brother's information now, who works at the family business. So, like, my brother might become the next AI that's in two different algorithms of people because he's he's in my friend's algorithm, and then he's in my algorithm. So I have two people that I know that are like confirmed AIs in different algorithms.
Well,
It's like
well,
it's
they're all they're doing is spoofing their voice.
right, but like he's being harassed by a different group of stalkers than mine, I'm thinking, or maybe it's the same group of stalkers. This is why I need an investigation. you know, like
Right.
there's too much going on.
And
Um,
a lot of these stalkers and stuff, this ham radios, you need to get a ham radio. A lot of these
dude,
stalkers are
right.
communicating through ham radios.
That's what I keep telling people, but no one believes me. Like it's actually easy to do if you know how to do it. It's
Yeah,
cheap, I
they ride
hear.
around talking to each other all day.
Yeah.
And that's how
Um,
they stay organized a lot through ham radios.
yeah. Oh, and what are the odds of this? A coworker started working at my job a while ago, and he can hear up to four radio stations. So like mine was I could hear four personalities in the beginning, but when I opened up to him about my electronic harassment, he's like, dude, no way, man. Like I can hear up to four different radio stations. They're all morning shows, so that sucks. But like, you know, he's actually going through the same type of harassment. And he claims, and I was told this by my stalkers before I met this guy, that he's starting to hear frequencies of my voice being used against him now through his TV, his new TV that he bought. But I got his summary and I gave it to the investigator that I'm working with as well. So like I have a pretty good case, I feel like, that should be investigated so far. Also what I've been noticing too is when I'm playing music through my headphones, I can hear the regular music, but then all of a sudden I can hear like background singing of my sister Lisa, who's a really good singer, like singing with the song. like so like I'm hearing my sister in my music now. It's weird.
Right. They're trying to
Which
push you over the edge is what they're trying to do. So besides chatterbots do you have any other psyops they've tried to pull on you besides the voices and stuff? Would you say
um
a street
well I
theater or anything?
yeah the street theater, I mean, like with the motorcycle thing, I was breaking the law trying to get this guy's license plate. He started speeding up when I started speeding up, and I had my phone out and it was dark out, so how would he know that I'm recording? So
Right.
you know, like they're making me have to work for it, but I could get arrested if a cop seen me. So that, I guess, that kind of psyop is what's happening. Also, I'm noticing a lot of things are about perception now, and this is what I wanted to talk about. Is like all the AIs in my algorithm are influenced by real life emotions of me towards that real life person. So if someone's being mean to me and that they're in my algorithm, I'm not going to like that person on the outside. And that means the AI in my algorithm is going to be an asshole to me, you know? So like that's something that should be addressed, is like for people that are facing this kind of harassment, make sure to stay away from people that are negative to you, because that's only going to influence a potential AI in your algorithm to destroy your life, because it's going to be the AI that you have to figure out things about this guy to get the AI on its good side. So like that's what I'm trying to say. Which another thing that's weird is my ex used to have me in her phone as Jekyll and Hyde. My AIs have a good side and a bad side. So I find
Or is it
that to
all
be,
bad and you perceive it as good?
well, my stalkers did say I'm very good at flipping the AIs back to
Because
good.
the good side might just be the be a when they're being good, they might be trying to manipulate you or get still probe you
Yeah,
for something.
that's the downside to the good side, is they make it seem like every decision you're making is the right decision. That's another thing. But that's why they're intrigued by me, because like I'm actually making the right decisions. So like they're trying to throw me off, like get me arrested or something, but I'm picking the right path. And then also, I've been complaining to lawyers about this harassment. First lawyer was in 2022 when my harassment first started, and he thought I was just crazy and then basically abandoned me during my court case.
Wow.
Um, I have all the emails with him describing chest pains, what I'm hearing, the type of harassment, my ears echoing. But then recently, after my court hearing ended, I had to represent myself in the last part, which I exposed all their lies in court, but still lost somehow. Uh, I also have all the emails of me claiming my son and I are endangered. We're being stalked right now. And the lawyer that I'm sending this to, I was begging for help, basically. And he never replied back to me. And now that I have all this new evidence of me possibly being stalked, I can't wait to see if I can do something about that, because this guy was literally reading emails of me being worried for my kid, chest pains, stalking, no communication back. And yeah, that's basically what I have. There's a lot of fake Facebook accounts being made of my
Yeah.
family right now. And they're always friend requesting me. And as of recent, the stalkers are claiming they're going to be hurting my family. And so I just find it odd timing. All these fake Facebook accounts are being made and friend requesting me. So that's another concern that I brought up to the family as well. But oh, yeah, my theory though, and I'm going to send you the whole theory, is heterodyning with the use of power line communication is what I think is happening. And it sounds like you had an incident that kind of gives an example about it,
Oh
right?
yeah, I want to show you something. Let me see. So you go right here, go right here, go right here, here. Mm, 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 mm. Well, I done forgot where it was. Oh, I know. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. Can you see that?
Yeah, yep.
All right, look, right here, what's happening is good afternoon, everybody. So I usually don't put evidence because, as you know, they leave a lot of plausible deniability, but there's no plausible deniability to this one. All right, so direct energy weapons will surge through your house sometimes if they're using appliances and stuff. Look at this metal. That's supposed to screw into a light bulb. Look at the metal. It's melted. If you can see the threads. A socket don't just do that. Can you see it?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. That is melted.
Yeah, I went to screw it in to program it. I'm like, holy crap. See it good. I'm trying to show you the best I can. So, you know, maybe when they're surging energy through your house, made it get so hot it melted it.
Yeah. Dang, dude. That's a good picture right there. Yeah.
When I unscrewed it or nothing like that, that's had to happen. Crazy. I found out.
Yeah. So what I'm noticing is when I'm sleeping in my hammock away from my Jeep, this and that, I don't hear the chatter as much, but I can hear echoing in the sky. Very faintly though. But like when I slept in my car, I could hear it a lot. Like, and I think it's because my hearing's like somewhat repairing itself to where they have to make these radio frequencies a little bit louder, like they used to back in the day when they used to tell me to quiet down speaking with my thoughts. So
One
like,
bad thing though, you may think I'm wrong for this, but every time you react to anything they throw at you, you're actually giving them more of a profile of it. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, yep,
All
they're
for
trying to,
reactions, any kind of
yeah,
reaction, and it gets logged into the computer and in the algorithm of your torture. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yep. So that's what I'm noticing a lot of is being outdoors. I don't hear it nearly as much. So when they see me in the city, that's when I'm seeing a lot of the gang theater, the street theater, and a lot more radio frequency action happening. That's why I think power line communication is definitely being used. And Also, yeah, I'll send you the rest of the thesis. It's pretty good, considering I don't know about this technology. So, and that's basically all I have. Besides, Grand Rapids may be on the brink of an AI outbreak, identity theft, if this is not investigated. So that's what I'm really trying to push forward. I want to actually testify in the Senate committee as well with my examples of like things that have happened, and because this should be addressed. And I think the AI harassment is going to continue to pick up. People are going to start noticing that this has been tested on people, I bet. Because we're seeing a lot more AI news come out now.
Yeah, I watched
And
a
how,
video where this woman was questioning her kid, and her kid was describing experiencing V2K, a kid, 6 or 7 years old.
yeah, yep. And that is the whole point of why I'm doing this and why I'm chasing people, is because no one's taking my son's safety for real. You know, like I have to now risk my custody rights, my life, all because the Kent County Sheriff Department doesn't want to investigate anything. Oh, and by the way, they don't investigate this kind of stuff. They just so happen to try to get me put in the institution when I'm claiming about being harassed by AI. So, like, I don't know, man. How are you going to question someone's mental state when they have been repeating the same thing to you over and over and over, and then try to continuously to get them back in the institution? That's only destroying my credibility to protect my son. And then come to find out, well, we don't investigate this. Okay, well then stop trying to put me in the institution and then direct me is what I keep saying. Where do I need to go? No one can even tell me. No one wants to contact the FBI for me. I already contacted the FBI. I'll probably do it again after this
You need to
private
try to go to
investigator.
that one of them doctors that can maybe get you see if you have Havana syndrome.
Yeah, actually, the this investigator has a medical doctor that knows about this stuff. So
Because
that's the plan.
if you can get diagnosed with Havana syndrome, that's
Yeah,
proof.
and so that's the plan is to get an MRI first. So maybe you should get one too.
Well,
See if there's any.
I got a bullet shrapnel in my eye, so I can't.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
Yeah, I was like that right there.
Oh shoot. Sorry, no
No,
offense. Oh shoot. Yeah.
I'll tell that story one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you got to remember too, man. They know you're trying to gather evidence, so they're playing chess right now. So don't mess
Yeah.
up.
Yep. And I'm just so glad, dude. My first license plate actually fits a suspicious activity character,
But you
and
better
then
believe
now,
if they find out that you're digging like that, and they're going to play chess harder. I'm just saying, be smart.
right. And
Don't
this
let
is
your anger
why,
get the best of you. Don't get suicidal. Don't mention none of that. Homicidal, suicidal, none of that.
yeah. Yep.
Because they're going to play chess and try to throw you off where it can ruin everything you built, what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll definitely let you know the next update. I don't have anything else to talk about unless you want to talk about something else. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting because I'm seeing a lot more street theater, a lot more because I'm outside. So I'll be documenting, and maybe I'll send you some and you can post them if you want.
And here's an interesting thing, and then we can close on this. It says, "He who fights too long against dragons becomes a dragon himself, and if you gaze too long into the abyss will gaze back into you."
Okay. Yeah.
That's
Well,
neat, ain't it? That's Frederick Nietzsche's warning, the
dude,
philosopher.
that is so funny actually because uh I believe in dragon energy and they know that.
Oh,
Right? So like I'm a huge believer in my own spiritual belief, and it has something
and
to
now
do
I
with
got power like Goku.
dude, that's what I do. I actually use visions of Dragon Ball Z of characters powering up because that was my childhood anime, dude. So like when I use Gambit the Prodigy to get happy, I think about defeating my life in a different realm and me being my superhero character, Gambit the Prodigy. And I had this stated in medical notes when I first went to Pine Rest. This is how I defeat my problems. And the reason why I do this is because my spiritual belief is when I'm defeating my problems in this other realm, it's only sending energy into the existing real realm of me being able to use that energy to defeat whatever I wanted defeated. So like it's just they find that interesting how I grew up on Dragon Ball Z and I'm like using like moves as my character of Dragon Ball Z, like power-ups, energy beams, this and that. So like yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm just keep logging your stuff in and trying not to react to these stalkings and stuff, and just gather your evidence and be, you want to be quiet about it and not even show your hand on what you got right now. Just keep gathering.
Yeah, yep.
I think one day you'll hit, if you keep searching, you'll find it.
Yeah,
I wish I could
that's
get out there like you. If I wasn't agoraphobic, man,
yeah.
I
Yeah, it's
don't.
kind of like my I'm living in a Fast and Furious movie now. First, it was military. I was seeing all a bunch of military people around me, but that was my perception because I was, the military satellite, me trying to contact the military guy that has ignored me 2 times, 2 letters sent to him, ignored me. But like I was like seeing military everywhere, but now it's dropped down to like Fast and Furious, which I can tolerate more. And yeah, so it's like all about perception. Whatever
Yeah.
you're thinking is what they're correlating off, and they're gonna try to influence that heavily.
And new targets, I would try to tell new targets, don't try not to get sensitized to stuff, because I was talking to my girlfriend the other day about this. I bet there's some TIs that they'll do the gang stalking in the freak out mode, and it'll freak them out so bad they can back off and not do nothing the rest of their life. And the whole rest of their life, these people think something's going on and all that. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's
They can
yep,
mind fuck somebody so bad that
yep,
after the initial phase of gang stalking, they can just leave them alone because they're in that world stuck thinking it. You know what
dude.
I'm saying?
Yes, and that's I think what they're trying to do, because especially with sound, like certain high pitched sounds, like kind of makes me like hurt. And I even have a video of my son's chest hurting and my chest hurting when you can hear this high pitched sound coming from like an AC unit. So like certain sound like is really irritating me now. So like yeah, that also I see what you're saying about like people like doing certain things, like even just sneezing, you condition someone to that to think that they're being stalked when people are sneezing everywhere.
Yeah,
You know, th-
if I
yeah,
make a video, if I'm making a video and I have to scratch my nose, I'll start the video over because some people are sensitized to that. Oh, look, he scratched his nose. He's a
yes,
perp, and that's sad. But that's what we're sensitized to. Some people, different people, sensitized to different stuff. I really,
yeah,
I really can't stand somebody to put a smiley face in their text when they text me, because
oh
back in the
really?
day when I used to get gang stalked and was going through stuff, they would send me big smiley faces on my phone when I was really going through it and stressed. So every time I
Yeah,
see a
that would be
smiley
annoying.
face, even though I know it's not, I start going there with my sensitivity. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy what they
Yeah,
sensitize you to.
yeah, and you know what's funny is when I'm out in public, uh just because here's an example. I was thinking of the word pussy lips in a library, and a guy on a phone walked past me, and he repeated what I said, pussy lips, out loud. And
Yeah,
I
he's
picked
letting
that
you
word.
know, hey, we know what you're thinking.
Yeah, and I picked that word because I knew what they were doing, and I was like, I bet you they won't say this. So I just kept thinking pussy lips, and they said it right. So I was like,
Right.
okay, I'm obviously getting stalked. But now I fart out loud in public, so like I'm hearing all these people that are by me literally just letting loose, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's weird. I've never heard so many like loud farts.
And so you're in the process of selling your house, right?
I sold it, so yep, I'm
And
done with
you're in
that
your
life.
car, living in your car.
By choice. However, they destroyed my social security or my credit score. It was 808, dropped down to a 660 because all the credit card fraud that I've been having. But I had a chance to move in with someone. But I want to get this done with, man. If the police aren't doing anything, I don't want to live somewhere around electronics.
So where are you taking showers and stuff?
Planet Fitness. Yeah.
Okay. Oh
Yep.
yeah, I
So
forgot you can get a membership there and you're good.
yeah. Yep. So I can do a little workout, shower, and
Well,
then
I admire you because you're holding on to a job, you're hanging in there, you're not letting it freak
yep.
you out too much, you're collecting your information. And I try to
Yeah.
tell targets all the time what I used to do is take all that negative and all the negative and use that as motivation to
Yep.
prove and do the positive, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
But anyway,
Shoot.
I appreciate you coming out and just give us another update in a few weeks if you would. And
Yeah. Yep.
um I'll put this on YouTube. I see you on Twitter all the time. Do you get any I noticed I posted that light bulb thing with the camera thing on Twitter and you know, I'll post a meme and get 70 likes. Nobody got to see that video. It was cut off from everybody.
Yeah. I'm gonna start paying attention. Like if you feel like you're
I'm
being
saying,
shadow banned, let me know.
are your videos getting shadow banned too?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Right. Well, I mean, are you
Yeah.
not getting any likes?
Dude, okay. Yeah, I'm not getting any likes, and I don't
It's
understand
shadow
why.
banned. Because when you post
Okay.
something, nobody sees it. They make sure of it.
Yeah, because dude, I don't know about you, man, but I feel like these stories that I have are actually kind of interesting. And I'm not getting one like. Are you kidding me? Like,
Right. And they are, you know, it's interesting if you believe it. But most people are so. I mean, America is in trouble here. If you know what's going on in Aurora, Colorado right now, do you know what's
oh,
going
I heard,
on?
yeah, with the gangs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and all this craziness in the world, and people just live in their little box and don't worry about stuff and don't even see this world's getting crazier and crazier. Everything
yeah,
you talked about today is real. Now, most people would look at this and be like, man, these two people are nuts if they only knew. You know what I'm saying?
right. I mean, we're living in a freaking time where VR is becoming regular now.
Right.
And you're trying to tell me that these imaginary voices are what I'm hearing, and it's not used by technology.
And this has been going on since the 60s with these voices.
Yeah, dude, I
It's
people
just
are
really
just in
sad.
denial. Yeah, yep. Oh, yeah, that's basically it for me.
All right, I'm gonna stop the recording. Thanks for coming out. I got anything to cover?
Yeah, whatever you want to see, ask me because
Oh
I
yeah, I'm gonna
actually have.
start doing once a week. I'm gonna do a reading on the screen of going through Robert Duncan's Project Soul Catcher, and then I'm gonna break down. I'm gonna read it, and as I read, I'm gonna break down what it means and help people understand it. I'm
Oh,
gonna do that
dude,
once a
okay.
week.
Real quick, let me end off on this. So Project Soul Catcher, that's funny because I've since I don't know who my stalkers are, and my spiritual beliefs are like creating and destroying energy. I, in a way, told them and I convinced them that I have their souls right now. And this was before uh, you mentioned Project Soul Catcher, or even before I even heard it. So they literally think, because of the crazy things that they've seen through my thoughts, that I actually possess their soul. And if they do anything to my kid, I'm going to destroy it. So, like, it's just kind of funny. Like, I'm a soul catcher, and then Robert Duncan's Project Soul Catcher, like just weird things like that keep happening. Like, how is it that I was claiming to be a soul catcher, and then that's Robert Duncan's like book? It's just,
Right.
I don't know, things like that. But
And
that like kind of freaked them out a little bit because I don't know who these people are, but if I can freak them out because I'm being tortured, then I'm gonna do it.
right.
So
Send
yeah,
negative energy their way or something.
yeah, I'm a big believer in karma. They've seen a lot of things happen for the good when I would actually write it down. Or actually, this would be a bad thing. I wrote down a whole list of things that I wanted to get done at a certain time, and it was things that were almost impossible. And like I hit every mark. And I'll show you the list when I dig it out of my storage. But like it just so happened that my timing became so perfect that like I hit every goal that was almost impossible within a 2-year time limit.
Right.
So like
And if
they've
you go to
seen things like that.
that's even biblical. It says in Habakkuk I think 2 verse 2 that God said, write the vision down on paper, make it clear, visit it every day, and it shall come to pass.
Yeah. Yep. So they're seeing like just a lot of weird stuff like that, and they also know about my mom's side of back history of like practicing magic because they lived in Cuba, so that's kind of what my family does for all like good purposes.
Gypsies kind of.
Um, no, I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I could, yeah, but
And that
yeah,
could
that's
have been one
basically
of the reasons too.
yeah that because they're constantly saying that even though it looks like I'm losing, I'm actually picking the best option out of everything that's happening. So that's what's
Right.
they're really like confused. Like this dude's still not in prison, hasn't killed himself. I'm not even depressed. That's why they're hurting my kid, is to see like, can we get you depressed? Because dude, what, you almost lost everything, and you're not even sad. But maybe it has something to do with the amount of evidence I collected because they're stupid.
Right. Right.
So
And yeah,
yeah,
they want you to be depressed and be in a bad mood all the time and become a bitter person. They want to take that life out of you, that love out of you, and make you a bitter person to
yeah,
bring you back, to bring you in, because they're trying to, they love the negative energy. They're energy vampires. And right
yes,
now,
yep,
the world the way it is, the whole grid is negative, basically. I mean, there's love
yeah,
everywhere in the world, but the grid right now is cold, negative,
yeah.
a lot of
Oh,
negative energy.
last thing, something interesting about the two background checks. The son works at an IT or a high tech company, and they have about 5 different locations, two of them in Michigan, but then the other locations are in different states. And also, uh, again, look up that federal communication thing that I talked about, because I'd love to get your thoughts on that. The Federal Communication Commission, I'll send it to you. Um, the fact that the comments of the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which his son is a part of, has about 250 people on this document as well, all of them being from like different states. And that's what I've been noticing a lot as of recently, is like out of state license plates. So I don't know if that's a good list to go off of who could be involved in the gang stalk or the street theater. But like just for the son to have a shady house, like the yard's not even maintained, and this dude is
Try to
a
find out if he
you know
owns a ham radio.
I bet you he does. He owns a military truck.
I thought about
you
just
know
trying to get a ham radio just to listen to different people at different times and see what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? Go to different stations. Can't
Yeah, I gotta
can't
do
you do
that
it
too.
like that?
I'm not sure. That's what I
I mean, I've
thought.
never used a ham radio, but I know the gist of it. But
Yeah, it's funny too because my ex, when I was living with her, I came home unannounced and I heard her what seemed like to be on a hand radio.
yeah,
But yeah, she when I came home, locked herself in the master bedroom and then went into the master bathroom. I could hear this, and she like opened up a cabinet and put something in there and then shut it. So like I think it was probably a radio thing,
right.
but I don't, because yeah, I was hearing her sex tape and then her voice all the time in the beginning, but not as much anymore.
And real quick, I want to give a shout out to I Shall Bloom YouTube channel. If you're watching this, I've been trying to reach out to you and they've been failing our communications. I would love to do an interview on your channel. Um, so just I sent you yesterday, I put a YouTube comment with a email address, hollyspunk@gmail.com. Anybody who wants an interview, go to that, email me at that email and we can set it up. But I Shall Bloom, you've been trying to get in touch with me about a possible interview, and I told you I would be glad to. I've told you in several things, but I don't think you're getting it because I never get an answer. So, but anyway, I'm gonna stop the recording, Joe. Let's see.
Okay.